So as I said, during our startup phase, we relied on QuickBooks software for our accounting needs, but within a year or two of actually beginning to sell products, we realized that it was no longer going to meet our needs. And we looked around and decided to go with a Sage ERP package because it was very scalable and we thought had a lot of ability to report out data so that we could get off keeping separate track in Excel files just to know what was going on. But soon after having the Sage ERP system installed and up and running, we discovered that the built-in reporting was crystal reports, which was difficult for us to use. It required specialized training to build reports, and we were forced to spend a lot of money having specialists build the reports for us. And we asked our Sage reseller what the options were, and they said, well, there was a company called DataSelf that offered a nice reporting package. And so we scheduled a webinar or a demonstration through the web with Joni and his folks, and we're really excited about the way the system worked and how easy it was to build reports and see your data. And we didn't take us long at all to know that's what we wanted to do. And so within a few months of installing Sage ERP and getting it up and running, we began with the DataSelf installation and have been using it ever since.
Yeah, very interesting. And I remember that now looking at our notes as well, most of the companies, when they come to us, they're usually much larger. You know, usually the clients, when they come to us, they are above $20 million in sales.
Sure.
And usually they have already, years of using the ERP package. They have put a lot of money into reporting. Then they realize, well, we're putting so much money into reporting. We're not getting the information easily. Let's find something else better. And it looks like you guys, right off the bat, once you moved out of QuickBooks, I think your company was still fairly, small at that point, but looks like your management is very data hungry. And hey, there's a cost, but there's a benefit. Probably it's worth it.
That's right. We wanted to be able to report a lot of different things from not only our sales and AR, but we also wanted to be able to track our warranty service, inventory, and we wanted to be able to look at different things sort of on the fly. And the CRIS reports made that very difficult, if not impossible.
Yeah. Well, and most of the companies that we work with, they're not software engineers. They are building products, selling products, doing services. They're not, IT is just like a side part of the business. And definitely, I'm an electrical engineer. When I started, my career, I was a programmer for years, and then eventually I fell in love with the business area. I had my MBA, and then when I started to do reporting, as a business person, I was comfortable. I was a programmer. Hey, I know databases. I know reporting tools. I can do it. But hey, most business people, they're not programmers. They are not. They are business people. They are manufacturers. They are, salespeople. And it's complicated. So that's actually, the vision when I started the business. I thought that I could actually touch this industry, make it easier, make it better, take the best of technology out there, and help companies like you guys to focus on your business, not on complicated reporting things.
I think that's exactly right. I know nothing about the databases and don't want to know. Certainly, I could probably learn it, but the best value for me, of my time for the company, is to work on our products and not work on our servers and trying to get out data and learn a new field.
Yeah, just to make sure people understand here, SawStop, and correct me if I'm wrong, SawStop was founded by 3 people. You were one of them. You are currently the vice president, so your role as a senior manager, is to run the engineering side of your company and commercial operations. And you are, in my understanding, one of the most reporting savvy among the crowd over there. I mean, you not being a IT person and the kind of reports and dashboards you've been building, later you're going to be showing some of them. I think it's really impressive to tell that, as you said, can you do it? Could you go to the databases, learn math? Absolutely, you're a smart guy. I mean, well, look at the videos you guys have built, but do you want to do that? You have much more valuable things. So I think it's impressive. It's impressive to see a person like you, like an attorney that now is taking reporting data analysis on your own and helping the company move forward. So let me go to the next topic here. So when you acquired our solution, back then we were using what is called OLAP technology, Microsoft-based technology, and for about 5 years you were using that product, that was using ProClarity as one of the pieces, which was the beginning of the whole analytics. How valuable that proves to be over, I know that in the last 7 years your company has grown a lot. Can you give a little perspective of how that kind of technology helped you and your team take your decision making to the next level?
Sure. Well, originally using ProClarity, we were very pleased with that package. It was very easy for me to write reports, either to save them for, to be updated every day, or when I wanted to learn something else, something new that I had, a question that I hadn't thought of, I could go in and within a few minutes have a report showing the data. So whether I wanted to see if we were having a particular service and warranty problem, or if I wanted to see how sales were in a particular region, or what products were selling more or less, or to what customers, it was very easy to use. But there were only a few of us who were using it at the time. Everyone who wanted to use it had to have a ProClarity full license, and a lot of the salespeople didn't. They were busy making sales and visiting our dealers, and so we didn't get the full impact except through me. I was sort of the conduit for information for everyone, and I really enjoyed the software. I'm somebody who enjoys doing the reporting software. It's a lot of fun. I sometimes find myself spending too much time playing around, because it's just very interesting. But at the time, all the data and reporting came through me, and often it were relying on me to say, well, what can you show us, or and I would have to decide what seemed important to report out and show them, rather than having them pull the information from me and tell me what they needed to see. But like I said, we were very happy with it. I used it every day in managing service, overseeing the business, managing inventory, watching our GL accounts. I used it all the time. But there was myself and maybe one other super user who would build reports and then basically make screenshots and send those out to the people who were interested in seeing them.
Cool, interesting. Yeah, and this is actually is in line with a lot of our experience. And just to clarify to the audience, so from 2005 until 2012, we were leveraging this technology from Microsoft, which uses ProClarity, which is what David is calling, was one of the components of our solution. And most of our clients, it was just like what David said. We had a few users, a little bit more computer savvy users like David, who were not programmers. They didn't want to handle things like Crystal, but they could easily go to the tools, slice and dice it, and build reports for other people. And then, like in his case, I think you had 3-4 users only at that point.
That's correct.
Yep. And then a few years ago, 3 years ago, we decided that we had to take this technology to the next level and come up with a new spin to it, where we could have a framework that more people would be able to take ownership of reporting, kind of push the envelope and and enable more people besides the more power users. And David actually was one of the first companies who embraced this new technology. And because when you're starting, you're learning, so it's a little bumpy road. So I want to hear from David. How was the experience, the transition? I know that you're happy about it, but feel free to also tell what was not so smooth or what the difficult challenges you faced, and enlighten us with the transition from the old platform to the new platform.
Well, I was very satisfied with ProClarity at the time until I saw the new platform, and then I realized that ProClarity had sort of not evolved, and I didn't have exposure to other solutions, but when I saw the new platform, I was amazed by the additional functionality that was available, and the web portion that would allow me to make the data accessible to so many more people in the organization in a way that they could see it both in-house and remotely, and also to be able to give them the power to drill down on data and see specific information that they were interested in. So once we switched over to the new platform, I realized maybe what we were missing before, because the new platform is just fantastic. It gives me so much more power to look at different things and make customized reports, and we're really happy with it.
Your company came from a 3-4 user license with the old, and now you have a lot more. So how has been this giving more people their own reports? How
Sure.
it has?
That's one of the biggest reasons that we decided to make the switch, because we went from 3 or 4 people looking at the reports through ProClarity to 15 people looking at the reports now, and not only the people in-house, but we have our outside salespeople who are positioned throughout the country. They access it every day to see the data and the performance of in their region. The web server that we have is just fantastic. It's very easy, very quick to use. We can publish our reports that we generate here to the web, and they can access it from their laptop at home, or if they're on the road, through the laptop or through mobile devices. And they used to every day update a very large multi-tabbed Excel spreadsheet with newest sales figures for every day, and then report that out to all the salespeople. And obviously that was time-consuming. We don't do that anymore. The data automatically updates every night, and so that every morning they can log in and see what happened the day before. Both as a snapshot on the day, but also cumulative over time. So everyone has moved over. I've made the data available to the rest of our executives here, as well as people in the administrative staff. So we have people who do AP. They can do agent reports and quickly see who they need to give a call to that day to see if the check's in the mail. We have a service manager who can take a look and see what kind of service level activity we have and which of his technicians are on the ball.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and you mentioned the other day, which I found also a fairly, kind of frequent story among our clients. Before the new platform, you were like a kind of an expensive secretary in a way. People would be asking you because you knew how to build reports for new insights, and now, the upper management, my understanding is they already have access directly, so you're no longer being on call for them for new things.
That's right. I share an office with my partners, and they would often ask me, how are sales this month, or how much money do we have in the bank, or what's going on? And I would have to pull up a report and tell them because they didn't have access to it at the time. And now I've created some executive dashboards for them to see an overview of the company, our revenues, our assets, our sales on a year-to-date, month-to-date. They can see whatever they want. and they just pull up their browser and go right to it. And you know, it's fantastic to have them be able to access that information directly, drill down, see the information they're looking for, and maybe see some information they hadn't thought of as they drill down. So it's great to enable them and let me get on with my work instead of having to final answer their questions.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's very cool. We also have some other clients that in the same sense, you know, often the upper management, they're not very computer, I mean, they're too busy to be dealing with computers, right? So most of the upper management, they need to have access to, like, you know, simple but insightful dashboards. So, like, you know, let's say if this guy, he's a CEO, he wakes up in the morning, he checks his iPad or his, you know, smartphone, and you see, like, you know, big boxes, you know, yellow, red, and green colors. If it's green, he can go play golf if he has time to. But if it's, you know, red or yellow, then he has to call someone to see what's going on. So it's.
That's right. You know, my other executives, you know, they're smart people, but they have other things that they're doing in the company and interest, and so having them, you know, everyone learn how to do reports, and also learning our data set. That's unnecessary because I can build the dashboards, provide the data to them in an easy-to-use, easy-to-see format, and they can, in just a minute or two, every day, see where we are.
Yep. One thing that I think is also usually a pretty common topic, I want to hear your thoughts, that when people come to us, is just change of behavior. You know, people are used to deal with something. Let's say, you know, some people love Excel, and they want Excel. You know, doesn't matter what you want to do, they want to excel. And what we have seen consistently with companies is there's usually a small number of people who are the champions, like yourself. You know, hey, you have the vision, you know that you need better information, you have the analytics or analyst mindset, and you need it, and you get it, and you push it forward. But then when you try to give other people this kind of information, it's a process, you know. People are not going to change, and as you said, you know, they were using Excel, now they're using the web interface. But I bet you, and I want to hear from you, is that you've been working with the new interface for about 2 years, probably at the beginning mostly, probably, you know, just yourself and someone else, and then you expose people to that framework, they start to adopt. How many besides you have been able to take that tool and not only to be a consumer, you know, just see like a static report and being able to slice and dice it or drill down? Have you been enabled to do that with many people, only a few? How has been the progress in that front? Changing behavior, I would say.
Sure. Well, I think we have a different levels of users. We have some who will you know, browse to the server and just look at the reports that they're presented and don't have a need or ability to look deeper. Then we have some others, many in the sales department, who want to see the reports and then focus in on their regions and their responsibilities. And so they can build customized reports, taking the reports we provide and then saving you know, their special views, their favorite views. And so we have a number of those people, probably the entire sales group, to use the system in that way. And then we have another super user in the sales group, and she is in the process of learning and practicing building her own reports now. She's just a high school graduate, but she's a smart person, and she has a real passion for this type of thing. And so, in fact, she told me yesterday she was up till 1 o'clock at night checking her reports for the next day. So, you know, it's really easy to use, and some people just want to see the data and move on, and some people want to, you know, explore more, and it really gives the flexibility to you can use the system and look as deeply as you want to.
Very interesting story about the high school graduate. You know, probably she was partying and then she got home. Oh, I got to finish my work. Cool. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's the idea. It's data analysis. I mean, in our experience, more than 70% of the reporting needs of the average user they can do it if they just put the time to learn the tool, which is not a complicated tool. It's not for everyone. Yes, some people are not going to do it because they don't want it. They just have something else to do. But if you want to, you can. And it is a process. I mean, we have some companies that they bought a bunch of licenses and eventually they have to decommission some because people would just not change their behavior. You know, they are successful. They're selling. You know, they talk like, you know, left and right. They don't need a computer. But some people, you know, there's a lot of analysis telling that the top 5 companies by performance, you know, the most successful companies by performance, they are data-driven companies. They make decisions based on data, not on gut feeling. Gut feeling is important, absolutely. It's probably, you know, half of the puzzle. But if you have good data, you have an edge. You can do better. You have, you know, the top 5%. They are data hungry, so it's good to be in this business. David, tell me a little bit about, you know, many of in the audience, they usually have their ERP packages and CRM and other systems highly customized. You know, every company is different. And usually they have invested a ton of money into making the ERP work the way that they need. So it's not out of the box. It has, you know, optional fields and different tables. My understanding is that your company, you have your ERP, you have add-ons to it. It's highly customized. How has the whole reporting, how easy was it to incorporate this customization? How lengthy, how expensive? Give us some insight about that perspective, please.
Sure. Well, you know, I think we do have a lot of customizations in our ERP system. We seem to customize everything we do around here. We never do things the way they are out of the box. And we have a number of add-ons. One of the things we do, maybe uniquely, is for our table saws, we track every table saw by serial number, who it's sold to. We sell through dealers, so we track that saw to each dealer, and then when the dealers sell to the end customers, we track that, and we use our ERP system keeps track of that through a serial number basis in a service and warranty add-on to the ERP, which is very different than, you know, your standard accounting package. And that's one of the things you work with us to be able to extend the reporting to that data set, which was very different, than, like I said, than the accounting package, because we're tracking serial numbers, we're tracking service codes and service technicians, warranty issues, so we can report out any kind of warranty problems. If we're seeing a spike in a certain warranty problem or a spike in problems with a certain product, we can see that. And then you guys also work with us to connect the data that we had in our service center, the serial number data and where it was located with the end customers, and then join that with our AR data where we sold the saws to a dealer. We can then connect the dealers to the customer, even though we didn't have that information directly. Now, because we know where the saw ended up, we can match the final location with the dealer, and then we can track how the dealers are performing in different market segments. So, for example, we track the customer types. We have what we call woodworking companies, cabinet shops that build cabinets and other wood products. We have other companies that are like architectural firms who may have a couple of saws. Boeing, a lot of the Hollywood studios have a lot of cabinet saws. We have individuals, we have schools, we have government institutions, and we have contractors. And we track all of those. And because we can match the data is linked, we can match our dealers up with the market segments. And so which dealers are performing well, say, to education versus which dealers are performing well to individuals. And we can share that data with them and show them how they're performing relative to their competitors, other dealers in the market, and maybe where the market opportunity that they're missing that they need to focus on. So we do have a lot of customized data. It seems to change almost on a weekly basis. We change the way we want to keep track of things, or we want to add something, and it's very easy to like I said, it updates every day, and so we want to change the way products are categorized. The next day, the next morning, all the data is updated to reflect that new categorization. So it's really nice in a sense.
Well, I think that the story behind what you just said, I'm really impressed, you know, because I think your dealers love you because you guys tell them how they are doing and how they should do better. I mean, this is awesome.
Sure.
I mean, it's for us having a client like you guys. That's you know, you really are a data-driven company, and you're doing your job really well, and you're helping your company grow. You're helping your channel be better channel. You know, the whole understanding who is buying from each dealer. I mean, usually most companies they sell to the dealer, and then it's like a black hole. You know, who's using? It's disconnected, so it's very expensive for them to try to analyze the end user behavior because they have the dealer between them and the end user. So it looks like you guys found some ways to close the circle and take advantage of that from your business, help the dealers. And what I love about your business is that you're saving fingers at the end of the day. I mean, it's a very noble, I mean, who cares about money, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you want to save fingers.
It's a neat product, and it's something that we feel good about.
Cool. I have two quick questions to close this pro section here. One is when it comes to performance, you know, how quickly reports run. Overall, it's, you know, do you have a report that take a long time to run? What's the feeling so far?
Sure. Well, it all depends on how you design your report. So a lot of the reports I use for myself, they run virtually instantaneously. The sales and marketing group, because they came recently from a very heavy Excel background, they asked to have their basically Excel workbooks duplicated in the DataSelf, and that's what I did. But they're basically seeing every customer, every month, every product, all at one time. And I tell them they're looking at all the trees in the entire forest at one time, and so that can sometimes, when they update, when they want to do a change a filter, look at a certain region, they're starting from all of our sales data, you know, 50,000 saws and however many thousands of customers, and then drilling down. What they should do is they should let me help them redesign their reports so that they look at the forest from an overview and then focus in on the area they're interested in. And I think the performance will be much faster. It will mirror my performance. Currently, when they do a filter, it may take 5 to 10 seconds to update just because they're looking at so much data at one time, and you want to filter all that data. It's just we have a fairly new server, but it takes a while to execute that. But when you start from a top level, from a forest perspective, and then focus down into a section of the forest and into the trees you want to see, it's virtually instantaneous. As fast as your internet connection will run.
Yep, I like this analogy of the forest, and it goes back also to change behavior. You know, if you have, as you said, you know, 50,000 saws and thousands of customers, probably a report with all data is going to be like, you know, millions of records. It doesn't matter what tool you're using. Millions of records on a computer is going to take, you know, some time to brought in. And what, you know, what you're saying is, you know, look at the big picture, then start to slice and dice in a way until you find the tree that you're looking for. That's a pretty smart comparison. I'm going to probably copy you and copyright you.
Okay.
Okay, David. Tell a little bit about the, you know, the weaknesses or places or things that you'd like to be improved from the analytics solution per se.
Sure. Well, the one key, I don't know that it's a con, but you do need someone who understands their data. So myself and the other super user who's getting started, we understand, you know, our data, and because it's so customized and because we change it, we need to stay in the loop to understand any changes and how that might affect our reporting. So you do need someone who's going to build the reports, the dashboards, to have a knowledge of their data. The only other thing I can think of is that if you like this kind of software and functionality like I do, it can kind of draw you in, and you end up spending, a day playing around, just looking for things rather than doing your real work. Going forward, we'd love to have direct access to more data. We actually tabulate for our finger saves. We keep track of our customers who have finger saves in our saw, and we keep track of all of that data in a humongous Excel spreadsheet. We're in the process of importing that in to the data warehouse so that we can report it out and make that available. And maybe one day we'll make that information available publicly on our website.
Sorry about that. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, one of the things is it is going to take time. If you want to do a better analysis of your business, it's not a magic wand. You're not going to press a button and voila, you got all that you want. As you said, no, you have to understand your business. You have to understand what metrics in your business are important. And sometimes you know, sometimes you don't. And sometimes as you start to view things, you realize that there are other areas that you were not paying attention. And they could be as critical as whatever you're paying attention to. We usually tell that, once you embrace a technology like this, it's like a journey. You start a journey. I mean, it's going to take many steps to walk through the journey, but it's much faster. It's going to expose you things that today you just don't understand. Like data quality. I'm not sure if you guys have data quality issues, but sometimes when you look at your data using analytics, you're going to find that there are many places of your data, the data is bad. It's just bad. You cannot make a decision based on that data because it's not being populated. So are you going to just say, whatever, let's do something else? No. If you want to have a better information, you're going to change your processes, change your ERP, change how you do business to populate your database with information so your managers can make better decisions. So it is not magic wand. It takes effort. But again, if you want to be on the top 5% of the best performers and you are data hungry, it looks at your experience. It looks like it's a worth the journey.
It sure is. It sure is, and we definitely have that experience. The reporting, data reporting, does expose any errors or in your data entry. But it gives you a chance to go back, see that easily, and go back and clean it up, because you can drill down into the individual records that have either omissions or bad data. So it makes it very easy to find that missing or bad data and then go back in and correct it.
So how about some ROI? Can you have some tangible ROI?
Sure. So I have a couple of examples. Prior to probably last year, we had used a third-party company solution to collect our sales tax information. Because we sell all over the country, we do have to collect sales tax and then report that to every state in the country, and that's a big job to be able to report that out. We had used a third-party solution that was expensive and getting more expensive every year. And it was a big drain on computer resources because our system would have to touch their servers for every transaction. And with a little help from your programmers, we were able to expose the sales tax data that we have in our invoices, pull that out, and do our own sales tax reporting that we can just send to the states. And so we were able to drop that service, and that was last year was $15,000 that we were able to service that we were able to drop. So that was a big savings. And then, of course, without the reporting, this solution, we would be left with the crisp reports, which wasn't something that even I could use without going through a lot of training to learn how to do. And so we would have been forced to hire our reseller, our ERP reseller, to build those crisp reports. And of course, at $100, $200 an hour, that can be very expensive. And so what you end up doing is you spend $10,000 or $20,000 getting the most critical reports, and then there are other reports you just forego because they're too expensive, and so you just don't get to see that data. and whenever your data changes or you want to make a change, then you have to pay to go back and have them make any corrections to those reports to reflect the new data. So that's a lot of not only saves money but it's also a lot of additional information and reporting that we could never have done just because it would have been too expensive. And then again, as we talked about before, being able to empower our sales managers, the regional sales managers, to look at the data, show it to the dealers that they work with, show them their performance relative to other dealers, what market segments they're hitting, they're doing well with, and which ones they're maybe missing. That helps us obviously focus our sales efforts on missed opportunities to increase our sales.
Cool. So let's just kind of recap. So you mentioned about $15,000 per year in savings for the tax initiative, and then you mentioned that if you were using Crystal reports, probably you'll be spending $10,000 to $20,000 per year in custom reporting needs, which would be like probably only the most critical ones, and
right.
all the other additional reporting you would just not use because it would be too expensive. And usually it's kind of hard to put probably a cost-saving tag because you don't know how much you'll be paying because you're not doing that. But I understand.
Right.
The other part that you mentioned, which is also kind of sometimes hard to put a figure on it, is now your management has information pretty much when they need, wherever they are, and they're making better decisions. Hopefully. I mean, more informed decisions, hopefully better decisions, right? You never know if it's better decision, but it's more informed decision.
Exactly.
So hopefully, I think because your company is data-driven, probably part of your growth, your success being so good is because you are data-driven, you use data to make decisions, and you're growing faster. And maybe it's hard to tell exactly how much that is because you have the analytics platform, but it's interesting to hear that. David, I want to be sure that we give you a little bit of time to show some of the dashboards you put together. So
sure,
let me change the screen here to you. And
okay.
These are the some of the dashboards that David built himself. So let's take a tour with his Ferrari.
So this first screen, can you see this first screen now?
Yes.
This is sort of an interesting screen. It's probably not your normal data to report out, but as I mentioned, we keep track of people who've had accidents on our saws, and we call them finger saves because they typically get a Band-Aid or less. And we keep track of those on a monthly basis. And you can see here over the last year, these are the finger saves that we've had reported to us. And you can see it's 30 to 40 per month. So that's sort of a tangible evidence of the impact we're making in the marketplace and saving people from some pretty devastating injuries. So this is a fun graph. It's maybe not necessarily our accounting software, but it is data we collect in our ERP system and that we report out as well. And then while I'm on this, yeah.
Before you move, I mean, this is one of the things I love so much about your business is again, is the ultimately you guys are in the business of saving fingers, and you're tracking it. You're tracking something that is, 2 levels beyond. I mean, you don't have direct access to your clients, but I think because this is such a major life event for someone who they went through a process where they would lose a finger or maybe a whole hand or whatever, and the tool did the job, and probably these people are so thankful that they probably call you guys back, or, I mean, how do you get this information? I mean, how can you collect it?
Sure. So when our table saw, when the safety system detects a contact with the blade, an accident, there's a what we call a brake cartridge in the saw that activates. It's kind of like an airbag, much smaller, of course, and it's below the tabletop. And it activates, and it stores the data, and it needs to be replaced before the saw is used again. And so we tell people that if you have a finger save, let us know. Send us the brake cartridge. We can read the data off there to see what some conditions around the accident, and we'll send you another one for free. And that encourages people to send those in. So that's how we hear about it. And of course, we ask them to follow up to tell us what they were doing at the time of the accident, all the different conditions, and we tabulate that currently in a large Excel spreadsheet. We're working right now to bring that into this reporting so that it's more accessible, and so we can then report out and can track, what are people doing, in most instances that cause these accidents? What are they cutting? What type of blade were they using? Were they wearing gloves? This is all very valuable data for us to understand how accidents happen and hope to improve our products to minimize the severity of the injuries.
Cool. Very nice story. Yeah, thanks. And
so one other one I have on this screen is our dashboard for our warranty service. At the bottom, you can see our service orders on a monthly basis. Lets us see, as we get more and more product in the field, like I said, over 50,000, we can see people calling in, what kind of activity level we have on a sort of a global basis. They may be missing a part, or they may have a question about how to use their saw, or there may be a warranty issue that they want to resolve. This lets us track our level of activity, and so we can manage our service group and whether we have the sufficient number of personnel. And in the window above actually shows some of our service technicians and lets them see on a daily basis how many of these cases they're handling, so that everybody can feel like they're doing their fair share, and we can see make sure that everyone is working just as hard as the person next to them. So this year, two reports are coming out of our service and warranty, our product tracking data that is sort of separate from or different from your normal accounting, sales, and APAR data. And then if I can figure out how to switch my screens here, there's another one I'll show. This is, let me go to, this is a dashboard that I provided for our executives. It's a quick overview of what's happening in the business. At the top, you can see our daily sales, and they can go down and select on the fly a different day and see what happened for each day if they want to. On the top right, there's a graph of our monthly assets showing our cash, or AR, or AP, that kind of thing. Then at the bottom left, there's a quarterly saw sales figure showing our sales by quarter and by table saw model. So this is the first thing they see. Typically, they'll browse to the server and see this and get a quick overview of what's going on in the business. Moving on, I've got a nice report here. They can see year-to-date sales for all the products, our table saws and accessories. They can see the year-to-date by year and the year-over-year change. And one neat thing is that it's very easy to color code the data so that you can see the green data indicates sales that are improved over the prior period, and the red data shows sales that have decreased over the prior period. So it allows us to see issues with our reporting. Now, because we change our data from time to time, the way we track things, you sometimes get some red that really isn't red because we combine things. But it's a nice, quick, easy dashboard to just see how we're doing on a year-to-date compared to the same day, the same portion of the year for each prior year. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we're running on 10 o'clock here. We'll have to wrap but I think you showed some very cool, I've seen you've been busy. You really enjoyed this stuff and very, very insightful dashboards. Let me take the control back, and we'll have to wrap it up because we're a little kind of short on time. So let me get here. So, David, first of all, I really appreciate your time and sharing with us all of these stories. I mean, I find that your company from the beginning very, very interesting, and for this webinar, I learned a lot more about your company and about you. I never met you before in person. Sure. You know, we've been doing business over the web and over the phone, and it was such a great honor to put a name to a face. So I appreciate your time and your stories. I'm really excited to know all of these details. I hope that the audience found it, the presentation insightful. David, thank you. Have a great Thursday. We'll be in touch, and we'll take it from here.
Thank you. I certainly enjoyed it.
Thank you, David. So, folks, thank you very much for joining us. If you have more questions or comments about, David's story, analytics overall, feel free to contact us. Here on the screen, you have my cell phone, my email, my Twitter. We have been tweeting about this webinar on our Twitter account, at dataself.com. I hope you have enjoyed. Have a great Thursday, and see you next time. Thank you.